Okay, hi. Hi, America and everywhere else on the globe. Hello, world, basically. It has been quite some time since I put myself in a conversation with you on 13 on my channel. And I do apologize for that. Not that I think you were pining away for my face, but just because I think once we start a conversation, we should continue a conversation and we should be dependable about it and not haphazard. As you know, I'm back in London. I was away for 6 months, and so the work and the details and just the being here has piled up and it's avalanched me a little bit. But I have dug my way through quite a bit, and I will strive to get back on the air here and talk about some things. I'm in a unique position in so many ways being in London, because the conversation over here, strangely enough, is very much like the conversation in America, and I'm always gobsmacked by that. It's always a bit baffling that what goes on in the United States should be so important to everybody across the globe, but you know, that's one of those things. I'm going to say something now which probably will irritate a few people, but this is my observation after having lived in London for 4 years now. There are way too many American bases around our globe. We should not be the global presence that we are militarily. And I'm forever asking people who are complaining about the Americans in their country, why don't you just kick us out? Send us home. The American people don't want to be here. That's always a surprise to them. But there's always some reason, relationships and things like that. And the reality is, I don't know how to put this, but Donald Trump just said that there were many, many countries taking advantage of the United States. So there are relationships. We are taking advantage of territory in the sense that we put our military bases where they ought not to be, and the economies sometimes benefit from foreign economies sometimes benefit from us being there. The foreign powers that do not benefit from us being there are those that we are constantly invading, attacking, and destroying. The other thing I want to say, I have notes because I don't want to wander too much today, but I also very much want to make sure that I say that I am no longer going to pussyfoot around, well, I never did anyway, but I'm going to be even more bravely vocal about the fact that our last regime in the United States was a murderous one. It was glossy and sexy and oh so GQ and very, very politically correct and all of those things, but it was a heinously murderous regime. I mean, I no longer have to worry about being called a racist because I say that, because the data is there. The facts are there. And I don't care if it was an elephant in the White House. I don't care if it was a Martian or a mermaid or anybody, a three-legged pony who had been in the White House. With that track record, that's just barbarianism and murder. And so, frankly, good riddance. See ya. Because I think that it's time for people to wake up and really grow up and deal with the fact that that's what that was about. And we got fooled again. We get fooled a lot. Anyway, so let's talk about some other stuff, though, because I do want to, I mean, there are lots of things going on right now that matter very deeply to most Americans, and they certainly matter very deeply to me. One of the things is the pedophilia issue that is struggling a bit to be uncovered in the United States, although I don't think it's struggling that much anymore. I think that the press is refusing to cover it. But I tell you what, we all know what's going on, don't we? And I participated in a meditation on Saturday, supposedly global, definitely American, at 11:11 on Saturday, where for 20 minutes we all sat down and visualized the perpetrators of these unspeakable and ancient crimes, you know, being disengaged from their activities and given trial. And frankly, I think if that's the only thing, there are two things I'd like to see happen right now. That's one. That's definitely one. And I did not realize how much hope I have in my heart for that right now. But oh my goodness me, I am so hopeful. I've never seen us in a better position in the United States to do something about that right now. And I would just love to see the dominoes fall to save the children. It's always about the children, always about the children. And then the other thing is the vaccine, the press that the vaccine situation is getting right now in the United States, thanks to Robert Kennedy Jr. and now Robert De Niro. People are saying that, I don't know what they're saying about De Niro. Look, the guy's probably being threatened 100 different ways for participating in this push by RFK Jr. You know, you just have to support the effort. You have to support the effort. There was a fellow in Germany who offered 100,000 euros a while back, 10 years ago maybe, offered 100,000 euros to anyone who could prove that measles actually is a virus. And after decades, or a decade anyway, no one could do it. And so the high courts ruled that in fact measles is not a virus. Now, I sent that article to my friend Ginger Taylor at the Canary Party, knowing that she would do something with it. And then I don't know what she may or may not have done about it, but I do know that now RFK Jr. and DeNiro are offering $100,000 to anyone who can prove that mercury is safe in vaccines. So you see, put your money where your mouth is, and the very idea that we could get a toehold against the CDC and the vaccine makers and Big Pharma in that way would stop the slaughter, and I do mean slaughter, of millions of children. Those two things alone make me hold my breath, and they make my heart sing. So what's happening right now is important, and what's happening right now is the biggest chance, I think, that we've had in a very, very long time. So no matter what your politics are, stop. Support the things that matter, and then we can deal with the stuff that really we need to crunch through, okay? That really is probably shouldn't be on the agenda. I'm ashamed of my country at this point, because I do believe that the last regime and the one before that and the one before that are actually working very hard against the current regime or the current president. The orderly transition of power is something the United States was always known for, could be proud of, and you know, the people speak, and so that's the way it is. I've had so many presidents that weren't my president, but we vote and things happen, and then we get on with our lives. And I believe that people who have taught the Americans to respect them are behind the rioting, and you know, George Soros with his color revolutions. Soros doesn't want to have to let go. It's just an amazing power struggle right now, and you can almost see the camps. They've really come out of hiding in a way and taken off the gloves, which is great, because then the rest of us don't have to talk about whether or not they exist, because there they are, right? Lots of good things are happening right now. You just have to really take a breath, step back, and figure out what's actually happening. So let me look at my notes, because I don't want to. All right, on a lighter side, just a little bit of business. The event in Groningen, Holland has been moved to the 22nd of April, 2017. I will put contact details for the promoters on my author's page. They may already be there. Looking forward to seeing you there. And then the event with Maria Wheatley, the one that was scheduled for the 24th of February, has actually been moved to the 7th of May. But we're very, very lucky in a way that this happened because we've got a special guest now, Mark Devlin, who's done an amazing investigation and thorough summary and does a really, really good presentation on the music industry and how that's been used against us. So we've got Mark now. We have a location. It is in Wiltshire, near Avebury. If you go on, you can look at the little summary under the promotion that I made for that event. It will tell you exactly how to get there. And we are also selling tickets through Eventbrite this time because it's just better that way. It's just so much more organized. You know, people can feel, very secure that they're actually going through an outlet to buy their tickets. So please buy your tickets early. $16.97, I think, is the early bird price now that there's 3 of us. And Maria is going to be leading a tour after the lecture, probably a moonlight tour, keep your fingers crossed, through Avebury. So $16.97 for myself, Maria Wheatley, Mark Devlin, and a little walkabout in Avebury. I think that's a pretty good price. It'll be £20 at the door. Okay, so that's the business that I think that's the business I need to take care of. I want to talk to you about, let me see here. Yeah. Okay, I am going to interview with Mark on his show soon on the topic of carnism, vegetarianism. And it should be really interesting because I have very, very serious views about how we treat the other kingdoms on this planet. And so does Mark. But I don't think we need to eat at all anyway. And I think most of you who've been following my work remember that. I believe that those 24,000 units of biophotonic energy that course through our body each and every day, and which is one of the reasons that they're trying to get between us and the sun, is how we sustain ourselves here on this planet. And whatever it is that we're putting in our body, we've been trained to do that, and it's not good for us. It's almost like a chain that keeps us attached to this planet in a way. That's what I believe. Now, I do know that we also live in a very powerful belief system, so I'm not advocating that anybody just stop eating. I'm just saying Mark and I are going to have a pretty nice conversation about this, so you'll want to tune in for that. And that'll be the 3rd episode in my workbook series. And once I've got the 3rd episode out for a while, I will put all 3 of them together, edit it, and add to it if necessary, and that will become the workbook. And I can move on to my last bit of my trilogy, which is Imagine, the imagination. So, yeah, those of you, here we go. Forgive me, I just want to make sure I say I'm coherent today. Yeah, okay, I want to talk about this, but not too much, because this is actually, I'm adding 2 chapters to the Fae book. Those of you who purchased the Guardians of Blood and Fire between December and now, thank you very much for doing that. It was a fundraiser. It was the last bit of, or one of the last bits of fundraising for me to get my family through this unpaid leave that I had to take for medical reasons. And so I did what I promised I would do. In February, I knocked down the price because it's not a fundraiser anymore, and I will be adding a couple of chapters to it. One of them is on iron. Iron is really important. It's not, so I always say this is not your grandmother's megalithic story. There's something really important about iron. It first came to my attention when I was lecturing in Australia, and Dan Schreiber, who owns Starseed in Byron Bay, came to both the lectures. He came to Melbourne to listen to me talk about chemtrails, and then he was there at Starseed when I tried to talk about Fae for the first time. And in Melbourne, I talked about strontium. Well, strontium's one of those big 3. It's a bone marrow seeker. It inhibits your ability to make red and white blood cells, which means it tanks your immune system in a real way. And then the next day I started talking about the myth or the folklore of the fairy and the bad spirits and the sorcerers and how iron can be used to drive them away. And he raised his hand out in the audience and he pointed out that I'd been talking about iron in both cases, which is what really started me thinking very, very seriously about this idea of iron. I'm not going to go into too much depth until the chapter's written and the book is reissued, because frankly, the business we're in is full of pirates, and I'm sick of it. Maria's had her life hacked several times since she decided to join ranks with me. There have been people who've just flat out stolen material that other people I know were getting ready to debut, shoved it in their books, published it 2 minutes before the other person was getting ready to publish their work, gutted them. Anyway, regardless. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is. However, there are only 3 women working in this field, this megalithic field right now. Maria and I are 2 of them that I know of. And so we are not going to get stolen from. We're not going to get pushed around, and we're going to put the wagons in a circle, so to speak, because we're Fae, Anyway, there's a lot to think about in terms of iron. I have discovered there were several mythical, elusive groups of fugitive cultures. Let's call them fugitive cultures, who were adept at working with metal, and the powers that were in whatever area of the globe they lived in chased them. They chased them around the planet, and they chased them through uphill and down, and through jungles and across waters, because they were adept with working with metal. And even today, blacksmiths are considered to be magicians and sorcerers in many cultures. And there's a reason for this. Anyway, some of these elusive cultures ran to safeguard their knowledge of metalsmithing, metalworking, iron, okay? We talk about swords, magic swords. We talk about horseshoes, magic horseshoes. And I also recently discovered that one of these elusive, well, they're not really elusive, they're a special case. One of the chapters, there are 2 new chapters. One is on iron in general, and the second one is about these sort of elusive cultures, one of which could be called the Gypsies or the Roma, and it's not the one I was speaking of before, but it came to my attention that in the beginning, many millennia ago, the Gypsies were kicked out of northern India, banned from northern India, because of their expertise as blacksmiths and their expertise working with metal. And frankly, there is so much disinformation and so much mythical lore attached to iron and the Fae and fairies and bad spirits and things like that, that this really deserves to be sussed out quite deeply. So you can expect this new information inside a month. I won't be keeping it on my computer. It'll be on a thumb drive. I mean, big, mega security around this one, because Maria and I learned that the raiders are out there. The raiders are out there. So you can look for that. I don't think there's anything else that I want to say right now, except that I will be trying to upload a new 13 every Sunday if possible. It will probably be in 2 parts until I learn how to knit these things together online. The workshops are ready to roll. They are ready to roll. My workshops I'm going to be taking around the globe next year, and I will be doing them relentlessly. Ideally, they will be a Friday night lecture on reverse engineering the trance, followed by an all-day Saturday workshop, equipping you with skills to reclaim your own thoughts and block out the noise, and identify what you visualize, what's really yours, and what's the trained monkey been told to visualize, to materialize, and to make real. And we can do this. There's a way. There were philosophers who left clear instructions on how to do it. And I'm going to show you, and we're going to do it together. And that would be an all-day Saturday, and I think we will just include lunch and sit down and break bread together. And I do like to do that. People around the country where I've had my lectures will tell you that I very much like to break bread with the people that I'm with, that I'm learning with and speaking to, and then maybe an in-depth Sunday morning the next day if there's enough interest, so we can really, really get in depth. So yeah, so that's it for now. It is February 19th, 2017. Please back these Save the Children efforts in the United States with all your heart, mind, and all your will. Bend your will toward helping this come about. And I will see you next week. And I will probably not be able to turn this off again, because that's what I'm known for. Forgive me. Forgive me.